So how many of you guys have ever heard of a pogo stick? You guys watched the videos you were walking in? You thought that was random. It wasn't. How many of you have actually had the privilege, the honor of jumping on a pogo stick before? And if I'll let you kind of make up your opinion and maybe share it in just a second, but for me, the pogo stick was like the dream toy when I was a kid, okay? Think about it. Everywhere you go, it's like a trampoline under your feet. You just bounce like crazy. I liked Winnie the Pooh when I was little, and so I was like, I could be Tigger all the time. What is it? Ta-ta for now, TTFN, thank you. TTFN, ta-ta for now. And just jump around on my pogo stick everywhere, right? That was before one wheels, and now that's my new obsession. But it's like, when you get on a pogo stick, though, if your experience is like mine, it's not a great experience because you imagine it being like you're jumping on clouds and it's just divine, but you get on it and it's like firm and you try to jump and you just fall over unless you're really good at it, and then you can kind of get some air, but you got to get some momentum and balance to push down hard enough to bounce high enough for it to be anything exciting. So for me, as a little kid, I didn't weigh enough to make those springs bounce the way they should. And so I couldn't get the most out of it, and I couldn't balance on. It's kind of like riding a bike. If you're just sitting on the bike without moving, it's really hard to balance, right? But if you're moving on the bike, you can balance. Same with a pogo stick. If you're using a pogo stick the way you should, which is bouncing up and down, distributing your weight in such a way that you're balanced when you hit the ground and can push back off, it's great. But if you can't do that part, then you can't really balance, and then it's pointless. That was my experience with pogo sticks as a kid, and I never tried again until college, and then I was really bad at it, so I just gave up altogether. So if you're anything like me, that experience was kind of a major letdown. In fact, for me, it was something that I just never wanted any part of again. And if you've had anything like that, where you anticipate something, there's a lot of buildup for it, and then you participate in it, and you get to experience it, and it was underwhelming. Maybe you were expecting more and you got less. How many of you've had an experience like that? Where, if we're being honest, what was hyped for you wasn't as good. For me, it was like DQ mozzarella sticks. I don't like any mozzarella sticks because I feel like I always choke on them. I don't know what it is. I feel like some of it's in my mouth and the string has stretched and is down my throat and I gag. So I don't like mozzarella sticks. But watching commercials of them dipped in the sauce, the red sauce, and you're like, mozzarella, and then you take a bite of it, and I'm like, oh, this is good. I could get used to it. And then I swallow it, and then only half of it goes down, and it stretches in my throat. I'm like, you can't do it anymore. And then I throw up. I legit, as a kid, I threw up eating mozzarella sticks, and so that kind of tarnished me for life. But you were expecting more, and you got less. And if we're being really honest, sometimes the Bible can feel the exact same way. And I'm telling you from personal experience as well, not just as I'm trying to relate to you, all you youngins, because I'm the pastor and that's what I'm supposed to do, but for real, even today sometimes, it just, if I'm not in the mood or if I don't want to do it or if I've gotten out of the habit again, then it's like, I was expecting some rich, spirit-filled moments reading God's word and I just didn't feel it, right? So sometimes the Bible can feel that way. It's not all that it's hyped up to be. And for you, maybe the Bible hasn't delivered what you were told it would. And that can be a real problem, especially if you're told week in and week out, you should read your Bibles. Because when you've tried to read your Bible in the past, sometimes the experience can be underwhelming. It can be kind of a letdown, and you get less out of it than you hoped to. But I think one of the reasons that it's kind of a letdown at times is because of our expectations going into it. Throughout this whole series, we've been talking about how to read the Bible, how to get the most out of when you're reading the Bible. But if we're being honest, sometimes we're defeated before we even begin because the way that we approach even how to read the Bible is misguided. Sometimes we approach the Bible as something that it was never meant to be, right? You can't search the Bible for every question that you ever had. Sometimes it seems like the Bible answers questions that we're not asking. How many of you have ever been to church before? Maybe you've even been here before, and you feel like we're talking about something in the Bible that is answering a bunch of questions you didn't have. And so it's like, okay, that's a little underwhelming. Maybe what to do if there's a conflict among church leaders. That's in the Bible. Probably doesn't apply to most of you right now. How was the nation of Israel formed? That's some real rich history right there. And unless you know why that applies to today, it doesn't really interest you. Who was Jesus' great-great-great-grandpa? You ever open up to like Matthew chapter 1 and there's just the genealogy? So-and-so was the son of so-and-so, who was the son of so-and-so, and they're all really long, complicated names that you can't pronounce today. It's answering a lot of questions that you and I don't seem to be asking. And sometimes it feels like the Bible doesn't answer the questions that we are asking, right? Questions like, when am I going to have my first boyfriend or girlfriend, right? I remember in middle school being like, God, please send me a beautiful girl that can be my girlfriend, right? That's no joke. I legit prayed for that when I was in middle school. Don't judge me. And then, how can I get my little sister to stop bothering me? How can I get my little brother to stop bothering me? Why is my schoolwork so exhausting and stressful? These are questions that we have, real life questions about real life issues, about real things we're going through. And oftentimes, the Bible doesn't answer those specific questions. It answers things that will help us with those situations, but oftentimes it doesn't speak to the level of specificity that you and I would wish that it does. And it leaves us wondering, if the Bible doesn't really answer my questions, then is it really useful? Now, I know you've asked that question. I've asked that question. When it comes to evaluating the value of Scripture in your life, and where does it rank in your level of authority? Is it something that you look to as a credible authority in your life? Is it something that if it says it, I do that? Or do you look to the Bible for validation for what you already want? How do we approach the Bible? So what about the early church? How do they approach God's word? What did they get out of it? And what are we missing? I know oftentimes I've wondered that, especially in my middle school and high school years. And when I was in college, I went to Bible school, so a lot of my questions were answered because I was forced to spend hours every week studying about it. But most people don't have that opportunity. Most people don't get a lot of their questions answered at the level of depth that sometimes we require. And so oftentimes we don't know where to look, and we just feel like we're missing out on something when it comes to how we approach the Bible and how we read it. So to get answers to some of this, I'm going to take you to, we've read from Paul's letters, we've read from the Gospels, we read from all kinds of things. We read from the book of Genesis in the series so far, and we kind of hopped around little different passages throughout the Bible that can help us to understand how we're supposed to be viewing the Bible, approaching the Bible, reading the Bible. And today I want to take you to the Psalms. This is, David, king of Israel, David and Goliath, David who conquered armies, David who was known as the man after God's own heart. He wrote the majority of the Psalms. Some of them are we don't know the author. A lot of them are other random little authors here and there. But David wrote by and far the majority of the Psalms. If you open your Bible to the middle, it's the largest book and is dead in the center of your Bible. If you're in YouVersion, you just scroll. It's near the beginning because there's more in the beginning of the Old Testament. But David is writing, and this is what he says about God's word. This is in Psalm 119. He says, "Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path." Now, you and I don't need to give you like any super great illustrations about light, because you all are in high school and you understand, physics enough to understand how light works and how the light bounces off of things, and we see reflections of light and all that fun stuff. But you know that when it's dark, light can make all the difference, right? When you are going to get in your car at night and drive, your headlights are a pretty big deal. And if you're out in the country, the brights are an especially big deal. So you can see if that deer is crossing the road, hopefully before you get to it, right? I've had the awful misfortune of not seeing that ahead of time. Anybody else hit any deer before, or been in the car when your parents hit a deer? It's not a pleasant experience. You'd think that they are harmless because people hunt them, but no, they destroy your car. It was totaled. Anyway, sidetrack. When it's dark, light makes all the difference, right? When you need to get to your room and you get back late from your game and you go in, you go down the hallway, you flip on the light switch to your room, because otherwise you would trip over all the stuff that you didn't put away when your mom told you to, right? When it comes to darkness, we need light. The writer says that God's word is a light for the path of our lives, which is great, but let me instead of telling you more about what light is, let me tell you more about what he's not saying. Because oftentimes when we approach the Bible, we treat the Bible like it's something that it's not. We treat it like it's trying to answer something that it's actually not. And we're trying to find insight into our lives that maybe God isn't trying to give you. And so when David talks about God's word being like a light, being a lamp, he's saying it's like headlights, like the car example, right? But not a GPS, okay? It's like a headlamp, but it's not a map. It's like a flashlight, but it's not a survival guide. Oftentimes when we approach the Bible, we approach it like a step-by-step instructions. We approach the Bible like it's going to take us exactly where we want to go, and oftentimes it's not answering that question. Imagine with me if I were to get out, those magic 8 balls that you like. I've got a picture of one, but like it's these magic 8 balls that you like shake and you ask a question and it gives you the answer. It's like in Toy Story when Woody is, in the first one when he's trying to find answers and he shakes the ball and the ball like it laughs at him. Anyway, so like you kind of shake it. Imagine if you were asking yourself the question, what am I going to do after graduation? And you just shake that magic 8 ball and hope that the answer spits out to you that you want, right? Sometimes that's how we treat the Bible, like that maybe it'll just give us all the magic answers that we need. Maybe we treat it like the GPS, and it's like, if you guys have driven anywhere that you don't understand where you're going, then it's really helpful when you can pull up your GPS and you can just put in like specific coordinates or an address or the location that your friend sent you so that you know exactly where to go, and your GPS just takes you right there. But oftentimes, it's not how the Bible works. You just don't plug in where you want to be and then get there automatically. It's like if you were to get the instruction manual out from your car in the glove box, the thing that you never touch when the check engine light comes on. You don't go searching through that. At least I don't, because I don't do cars, because I'm awful at it, and I would probably destroy my car before anything else. But sometimes we treat the Bible like it's our car manual, like, if we need an answer, we can go and look there. Or better yet, I'll Google it. I'll YouTube what I'm looking for. And we treat the Bible like that when it comes to all parts of life. I'll Bible it, right? I'll go to my Bible and find the magic answer. And oftentimes, that's not what it's supposed to be. The Bible will light up where you are and show you what's ahead. But it's not going to give you a step-by-step instruction, and it's not a step-by-step guide for your life in the way that we think of it when we approach a GPS or a map or anything like that. It's got great stuff, and it can help with those things at times, but when we approach it like that's what it is, and that's all it's good for, then what we tend to do is we leave it to collect dust until we're in trouble, until we really need something. Then we'll go to the Bible. But as we talked about earlier in the series, the Bible is something that we study and we read and we memorize because it helps us get to know God better. It helps us know the creator of the universe, the creator who wants a personal relationship with you and me. And because we can get to know him better by reading the Bible, that's why we spend time in his word and allow his spirit to work and convict us in our lives. A light illuminates your path so that you're better equipped to make the best choice. Imagine if you were to get in the car at night. Let's go back to that analogy. You wouldn't get in the car and then start driving at night and then, I think I'll turn my headlights on now because I can't tell if there's something walking across the road. And then you turn your headlights on, don't see anything, and then you turn your headlights back off and keep going, right? That would be insane, right? That would be scary, especially, again, in the country where there's no, street lights, okay? When we get in the car at night, we turn the lights on. Most of your cars do it by itself automatically. And so you just get in the car and it turns its lights on, and you do that before you move anywhere because you need to see what's ahead of you. And that's how the Bible works. It shows light to where we're going. We turn it on before we ever get into trouble. We don't just turn to it when we need something, because by that point, it's often too late. We're not going to see the deer crossing the road. We're not going to see the trouble that's up ahead because we haven't been using the light, the lamp, to light our paths. Ultimately, what I want to say is this: the Bible can help us see things more clearly, and it helps bring things to light. In other words, when you're approaching a situation that you need discernment about, you need wisdom, the Bible can equip you with that before you even get there. It can help you to know better what God's will is and to move in that direction rather than just kind of waiting to see if God will part the clouds and talk to you, because I've been doing this a long time and that's never happened to me. But oftentimes we feel like we'll just get a feeling that it's God speaking, which, little caveat, oftentimes that's what we say. we say, I feel like God is saying this, but really it's just what we want. If we are spending time with him and in his word, we'll know what comes from us versus what comes from God. It'll help us differentiate those two voices in our heads a lot better. The light doesn't force you to go a certain way. The light just illuminates all your choices. So if you were treating the Bible like a GPS, like it was going to tell you, oh, don't date that person, date this person, right? Because wouldn't that be helpful? Like I've said those prayers, like I mentioned before, where it's like, God, should I date this person or this person? As if I had options, right? But should I date this person or this person? In my head, I'm playing this game. Like who should I go for, right? When that's the game I played in high school. It was dumb. Anyway. Don't date in high school. You can, it can be fine, but oftentimes we don't have the maturity anyway. That's just another thing. And I was a good kid. I wasn't like a troublemaker. So that just tells you, not to be arrogant and say, if I was that way, then all of you are that way, because I know that's not the case. There are many of you in this room that are more mature than I was. But still, just, food for thought. Anyway, moving on. The light doesn't force you to go into a certain way. It doesn't tell you what decisions to make. It doesn't tell you who to date. It doesn't tell you what classes to take. But it can give you a broader perspective and illuminate the light on and give you a direction where you want to go. So when you're trying to decide those things, you can weigh them against what you know God's will for your life is, rather than trying to fit everybody else into God's will. Does that make sense? Rather than trying to fit all your decisions into what you think God wants, knowing what God wants and knowing him better and studying his word will help you be able to make more informed, wise discernment decisions. It gives us light before we stumble into trouble. I mentioned that already. So earlier in this chapter, actually, David addresses this a little bit more, and this is what he says earlier in the verse. He says, I have hidden your word. There we go. I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. In other words, I've hidden your word. I've memorized. I've allowed it to become a part of who I am before trouble comes, before I'm faced with that temptation, right? This is really important. If we haven't wrestled with potential temptation or where we're going to stand when temptation comes, we will fall into temptation almost every time. Because if we prepare in advance, if we know in advance, if we've taken precautions, if we've put up guardrails on certain parts of our lives, if we've set up healthy boundaries, then oftentimes we've already said no before the temptation comes. But when we don't do that, when we haven't consulted God, when we haven't prepared our hearts by making God a part of who we are, by spending time with, it's like going back to the riding the bike. You can't just ride a bike or play guitar or be really good at your free throws your first time. It takes practice. It takes years of practice to get to that point. And it's the same when it comes to reading the Bible and studying God's word. It takes practice before you start to see the results. But when we memorize when we hide God's word in our hearts, we're prepared to make the best and wisest decisions possible. We avoid trouble, we avoid hurting ourselves, and we avoid hurting others. How would you guys feel if you knew that there were things that you could do to prevent the relationship turmoil that you have in your friend groups, that you have with your boyfriend or girlfriend, that you have in your family? If you knew how to prevent that, wouldn't you take it? Spending time in God's word and spending time with God allows his spirit to change us in areas that we don't even realize we need changed in yet. That's one of the cool things too. He convicts us and opens our eyes to where his heart is so that we can chase after him more fervently. But if we're not spending that time with him, often we're blind to our own shortcomings until it's too late, until we've already caused damage in our relationships. When we use the Bible as a light in a lamp, we'll see the bigger picture. So the Bible is something that you got to spend time with. If you want to get the most out of your time in the Bible, if you want to get the most of how to read the Bible, of how to discern what God is saying to you, then you got to approach it not like it's the GPS for your life, but like it is the lamp to your life. Like it's going to light up the way and allow you to see where God is moving and allow you to see the options, allow you to see the bigger picture. So the Bible invites us to observe what happens on its pages and then live our lives in a response in response to what we find there. So first of all, if I would challenge you as we close out this series, if I could challenge you with anything, is one, spend 10 minutes. You can start that this week. You can start that when you get home tonight. Or if this was your dose of Bible, start tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening before bed. But read a passage from the Bible for 10 minutes. There's plenty of plans on YouVersion, on the Bible app. You can start in the book of Psalms. You could start in Proverbs. You could start in John. You start in James. You could start in any of Paul's letters, but start somewhere. Just spend 10 minutes a day. It's not a big commitment. Most of you spend way more time than that on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok. I know TikTok is easy because you open the app and it's like you're sucked in and 3 hours has gone by and you're like, oh no, what have I done with my life? Right? I have homework. But like, I know we all spend time on pretty much everything else. So 10 minutes, that's my challenge to you. Set aside 10 minutes to read the Bible each day. Secondly, talk to someone about what you read, whether that's in a YouVersion like group study where you can chat afterwards, or if it's like, hey, you text your friends like, hey, this was my pastor's day. Ask somebody that you're close to, that's maybe your closer friends, and say, hey, can I send you what I'm reading every day just as a way to hold me accountable? If I haven't sent you anything, text me, and that'll remind me. Like set up some accountability. You talk about boundaries and setting up guardrails. Set up some accountability. Talk to someone about what you read, but also talk to someone like your parents or a small group leader, someone who's maybe a little further down the road than you are in life that can give you a little bit more insight about what you're reading as well. Number 3 is memorize it. Like David said, to hide it in your heart. Make it a part of who you are, and it is more likely to become part of who you are and come in handy in situations where you need discernment if you've already memorized it, if you've already made it a part of who you are. So memorize it. Maybe that's just the verse of the day that shows up in YouVersion. Usually it's real short and it's easy to memorize. So spend some time memorizing it. And this is going to sound really stupid, okay? And don't do it in front of people because they'll think you're weird. But make a little tune to remember it. Right? I've hidden your word in my heart. And you're going to sound like an idiot, but you will remember that annoying little tune and you'll remember the words. So that's why kids' nursery rhymes are put to music. Like Zeke watches all these, I think I shared this with you a week or two ago. He watches all these super annoying YouTube channels with kid songs about letters and colors and numbers. And it's great because now he knows all those colors and letters and numbers, but golly, it's annoying. So come up with an annoying little tune to help you memorize if you need to. Something, because it will help you remember it and it'll come in handy in the moments you most need it. So the Bible brings things to light. We have to put the time in order to see the benefits that reading the Bible can bring. If we put the time in, you'll start to see your life change because your heart will become more like God's. You'll start to see the things that God sees and pursue the things that God pursues, and your relationships will be better. It happens over time. It's a lifelong journey. So as we kind of close, I want to leave you with one question. Are you willing to stick with it until it begins to light up your life? Are you willing to stick with it until it begins to light up your life? Because oftentimes we try it once or twice, kind of like my pogo stick, and we just give up. We don't go back. We didn't find the answers we were looking for. We didn't find the encouragement we wanted to find. In fact, sometimes the Bible says stuff that we don't agree with and that we wish weren't true, but it is. And so I encourage you, stick with it. Even when it's difficult, even when it's unmotivating, even when it feels like a task or a to-do list at the beginning, stick through that until it becomes a part of your routine, a part of who you are. I promise you, it will change your life. Let's pray.